Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio. If you miss a show, you can listen again on Wreaths Across America Radio every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune in to see if you are on target. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And welcome to Tracer Rounds, and I'm your host, Terry, and tonight's special guest on MBR is our own H-Train, a.k.a. Joel Hunt, a.k.a. the CEO, a.k.a. anything and everything around MBR. We're so excited to have him tonight, and so the interview of the week, here we go.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Open the door, one or three? 1, 2, 3. Are we opening on 2 or are we opening on 3? Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm so excited to have you. It's not often you get to interview your boss.
Well, I tell you what, the only reason why I thought about coming on is because my battle buddy was supposed to come on, Ray, and you guys couldn't he couldn't get in touch with the fundraiser that they got going on. So, and life happens. But this message is for Ray. We will have them on tomorrow or Friday, but we gotta get that, or tomorrow for sure. We have to get that all coordinated and stuff on for Thursday. So how was your day today?
Well, it was good. It was a surprise who I was going to have on tonight, and the surprise was worth the wait.
Well, the reason why I came on is because, I'm pretty new at this. And, I've said this a lot, but I truly believe that veterans aren't lazy. Veterans just need some navigation. So, for example, like I'm going to, we do the coloring books and stuff. And we're getting ready to do a cartoon, but I wanted to come on here and I wanted to go over what the VA calls VA clothing allowance.
Yeah,
The
I heard
VA
about that.
clothing allowance, and I've got some notes here. I'm just going to read this to you,
All
and
right.
we're going to show you. Unless you want to ask me some questions, Tracer, when we're ready, I'm going to show you how to fill out this form. You know, because a lot of veterans, they don't know how to fill it out, or they don't know exactly where to take it. And I'm gonna show you all that stuff. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna show you. That's the difference. I'm gonna show you, and then hopefully you can you can get it fixed. Now I'm gonna tell you that the VA clothing allowance it's almost like the DoD clothing allowance. Okay. I know the dreads. Yeah, HR Nightmare is not here today. This is this is the actor. This is Joel Hunt. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because so many people are, oh, this is easy. This is easy. All you have to do is this, and then when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, they have no idea what they're talking about. They're just regurgitating something that somebody else had told them. So in this episode, we're going to teach you what form it is, because with the DoD, with VA, everything has to do with the form. And I'm going to read to you real quick some of the guidelines for this. Okay, now keep in mind, it's nothing different. Keep in mind, it's nothing different than when you're in DoD, when you're in the Army. Okay,
Right.
Keep that in mind. Clothing allowance means clothing allowance. Clothing allowance doesn't mean we're gonna sit here and try to figure out how to do a loophole to get something. It's clothing allowance. Now, when you have like an AFO, it sucks because sometimes it has like sharp ends on it with the metal where the class where the Velcro is, and sometimes that really eats into the pants, especially if you're just getting like straight. And in today's society, apparently everybody has to be skinny because we got these skinny pants that everybody's wearing in high school. Okay, my nuts won't even talk to me after wearing that shit. But we had to deal with that. But so here I'm gonna read this stuff real quick to you.
Sounds good. Let's hear it.
The VA allowance application checklist. Okay, step 1. And if you want to put up the VA form, Tracer, you can. The VA form is 10-8678. Okay. And the allowance application checklist. Okay. First of all, we got to confirm that we're eligible. Okay. And to confirm you're eligible doesn't mean that you're VA connected. Okay. There's a difference. Well, let's just put it that way. There's VA connected and then there's service connected. Okay. Now, if you are service connected disability, and if you're service connected disability, basically you got hurt on the job or you got hurt in combat. That's a real easy one. Getting hurt on combat. That right there is service connected. Do you wear a prosthetic or an orthopedic appliance or use of VA prescribed skin medications? Sometimes the creams that they have you put on, sometimes they stain the clothes. Maybe the inside, maybe you have OCD and, on the outside it looks okay, but on the inside it's all like orange and stuff. Some people, when that happens like that, they don't keep that shit, or they don't try to, Clorox it. They just, they just throw it away.
Right.
So
That's ruined.
another thing to keep them thinking about. And then, are you under VA medical care for the condition? That's the true part. Okay. All right. So now step 2, and don't worry, I'm going to read these, but I've got demonstrations, everybody. I got demonstrations and cadence exercise. All right, step 2, download and
Demonstrator
fill out,
post.
yes, download and fill out VA form 108678. Okay. And how you're going to do this is like in block 1, you're going to put the name of the veteran, which is going to be your full name. Block 2 is your mailing address. Block 3 is your social security number. Okay. Your social security number is the same damn thing as your VA number. Okay. Just so you know. Telephone number, best number that they can reach you. That's in block 4. And block 5, I hereby apply for clothing allowance, and then you check box. And then number 6, the reason, describe how your prosthetic appliance medication damages your clothing. Okay. Signature, sign, date, form. Okay. So now we've got all that stuff figured out.
Yeah.
Now on a separate page, so you have the VA form 108678. And what's really important is after you do all this stuff, you sign it. Okay. Now, this reminds me of taxes because we had to do taxes like at 990 EZ. Bullshit. All right. So when you get these lines, this paragraph thing, you're basically going to put, like, for example, if you have an AFO, and I mean, you could really investigate. I mean, you could sit here and draw out a novel, because I know that there's some people that they really write out a novel. Isn't it weird how you tell somebody to write something, they write like 2 or 3 sentences, you don't tell them to write something, and then they write a novel. It baffles me. But so for example, my first one is an AFO. So you list the service connected disability. What does an AFO do? It's a drop foot. Okay. Month and year that you was issued this, you put the year, and then you just put what hospital that you're currently at. And then you put, is it left? Is it right? And, somebody asked me yesterday, he was like, well, how about a brace? I'm like, well, you like a knee brace? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I could see that happening. I could see that happening more if you use the brace like under the pants rather than over the pants. But I'm sure that would classify it. But you have to get this in. I believe you have to get it in by June. Okay. If it's your first time, but if it's not your first time and you've done it before and you're service connected and it's they don't consider it temporary. This has to be like permanent and total. Okay. So if you're using a knee brace, that has to be permanent and total. It can't just be like a little red handicap sticker. You know what I'm talking about, right? The placard. You know how you have red? If I'm eligible for compression socks, do I have to wear the ones they issue, or can I get them to pay for them? Great question. So this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to play the game. All right. So they're going to issue you compression socks. All right. Buy the ones that you really want. Okay. Keep those compression socks so that when you go to your appointment, these are your inspection socks. Okay. They're not going to check the date on the shit that you're, I know I hate the game too. But that's what you have to do. And sometimes it's a pain in the ass, because I remember I got a Garmin from the VA, and it was a real pain in the ass, because as soon as it went out, not only did I have to fill out a thing, then I had to make an appointment, and then I went to see that appointment, and that appointment was like 4 or 5 months, and it's like they don't give you a replacement or a loaner. Okay. You kind of wait for that. And I'm like, well, shit. So I went to Best Buy. You can get Garmin's now for like $80. Like, I mean, I don't even know if they sell them anymore.
I don't know if they do either. They maybe do sell them, but they're not as hot of a item as they once were for sure. Because everybody's got smartphones and navigation in their vehicles. So
But yeah, compression socks. You know, I checked to see if my denture is qualified. It doesn't qualify. I'm like, well, shit. You know, you can only get so much. You can't be too greedy. You know, at least they give you some. Like, this is the first year I've ever received any like clothing allowance, and I qualified for this since 2009. And you know, it really sucks that there's not somebody that just comes on and does an interview and, you know, kind of helps you fill out the damn thing, you know?
and
Now,
tells you about it in the first place. I mean, the VA was good enough this year to put it in a newsletter or put it in an email to say, oh, by the way, there's a clothing allowance, and then it prompts you to read about it and find out about it and to see whether you qualify or not.
yeah, they were waiting for all the World War II guys to die, and then they're like, "Hey, we got this."
Oh, by the way, we have
By
this
the
now.
way, yeah, because remember they had that thing in the VA that it said, well, if you're a World War II or World War One veteran, if you're a World War II or a World War One veteran, that you have free VA healthcare. Well, you should give them VA free healthcare as soon as they turn 65. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, they should.
But I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. I explain the game again. Okay, so basically, you're gonna grab the compression socks that they give you from the VA. They have to be issued to you from the VA. You can't just buy a cane or an AFO and say, "Okay, I got this AFO. I want a clothing allowance." No, you have to be issued that device. And once you're issued that device, if you want something, above and beyond, then you know you're gonna have to take care of that above and beyond. Okay. For example, there is a pair of they're like tight pants. They're like compression pants. It's orthopedics. I think that's the brand. I wore those while I skied, and it was really nice because it locked in. So I can't feel like my knee and my leg and stuff. And I always worried about like catching an edge on ice or catching an edge on snow and it pulling that ligament, and then I can't feel it. At least I don't think I can feel it. Yeah, kind of like Spanx, except these you can wear during the ski season, and it has like built-in braces in it. It's like real hard. So once you get these compression socks, then you can buy the ones that you want, and then when you go to the VA, you tell them, "Hey, I'm compression socks. I got wear and well, you know, now that I think about it, I don't know if compression socks would work because compression socks don't exactly put wear and tear on your shoes. That's the thing. Like my dentures don't work because it has to do with wear and tear on the clothing. So there's no clothing unless we're playing 50 Shades of Grey. There's no clothing that goes in the mouth. And that would be a pretty awkward remark. Hey, I need this because it got messed up during role playing. That would be awkward. So I don't, dentures and the compression socks, I don't think that would make it. And let me say that it's true, but it is for entertainment purposes because I'm not. And what if the ones they issue dry my legs out? I'm not a VA advocate.
Get ones with aloe. I don't know what else to tell you.
I would probably put cocoa butter and then put the compression socks over it. I don't know about that, but if you have to, yeah, you definitely want to talk to the VA about that. I don't know how to touch that one, because if you do have like creams and stuff that you put out so that it doesn't get dry, if the cream is issued to you by the VA, yeah,
then it could qualify because it might mess up your clothes.
Right.
might stain them.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So the answer is maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. We got to
Maybe.
take our first break. So I have next week on my show, I'm so excited, Joe Allen Christie. He'll be on and he's going to perform live, he said. And we're going to play some recorded music. So we're going to play his song, The Other Side, right now, and then we'll be back.
Stuck in this city 5 days a week, surrounded by streetlights and the folks I call sheep. Their only desire is to pass judgment on me for loving my country and the things that I eat. Over that mountain, got a small piece of land. It really ain't much, but a man understands. On the other side, it takes a real man, hunting and fishing, working the land. On the other side, I'm the best part of me. A hammer and a shotgun is all that I need. This 5-bedroom house in a damn HOA, a place I don't own if I don't do what they say. Talk about prison, it's the worst kind of hell. It's like paying the warden to be living in jail. In the city there's liars and government frauds. In the mountains I'm free and closer to God. On the other side, it takes a real man, hunting and fishing, working the land. On the other side, I'm the best part of me. A hammer and a shotgun is all that I need. From under their foot, there is no escape till we all stand together for the rights that God gave. On the other side, it takes a real man, hunting and fishing, working the land. On the other side, I'm the best part of me. A hammer and a shotgun is all that I need. Hey Brandon, I dare you, come tread on me. I'll show you the end of this AR-15. I'm not the type to go looking for a fight, but keep poking the bear. I'll show you my stripes. On the other side, I'm the best part of me. A hammer and a shotgun is all that I need.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Well, welcome back to Tracer Rounds podcast, and I have my special guest with me tonight, H Train Joel Hunt,
Mama says I'm
CEO
special.
of MBR. We're so excited to have you, Joel. Thanks for helping us with clothing allowance.
No problem, no problem. Mama said I was special too, so special place. Oh my gosh. So yeah, and one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because there's this thing called Google and ChatGPT, and my ChatGPT, I just asked the questions and it gives it. So I have an answer for you.
Okay.
So compression socks do not count. It says, let's go back here to where it says, so the reason why compression socks does not count is because the VA policy specifically says that the elastic or flexible braces, such as compression stockings, along with over-the-shoe inserts and soft orthotics, are not eligible because they don't typically damage clothing.
Well, there's the answer then.
Yeah. So don't worry, my dentures didn't go either.
MJ's out chasing the moon on top of the
Yes.
mountains. Yep. Well, enjoy, MJ. But she also had another comment for you.
Yeah, she said tomorrow night, look east. She said so special. I am.
You're so special.
I'm a special case. Special.
Well, we appreciate you telling us about that. But we should also talk about skydiving.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're doing a special skydiving event.
Yes.
And so maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that and how people can get involved and how people can donate if they want to.
Yes.
How they can help a veteran skydive.
So right now, for the month of June, anything that goes through that donation, anything that goes through that QR code, that money is going to be used to buy these slots or, get, donations used to, buy these skydiving events for these veterans. Right now we pretty much have it as, okay, we're planning on taking 6 people. So we've got money allotted for 6 people. And we're thinking 3 veterans and 3 first responders. Now, you're probably asking me, well, why are we including the first responders? We're including the first responders because 85% of military people, that's like their second job. They like go into the firefighter or be a police officer. So chances are they're a first responder and they're military. Also, we say thank you for your service all the time to military guys in an airport or something like that. But especially police, because I guarantee you that when you get a ticket, they don't say thank you for your service. Okay,
thank you for writing me the ticket. I needed that.
They say F you or something like that. Okay, so if you see a cop, make sure you hug them. Okay, they don't get much love. Firefighters, the same thing. My brother, I got a half brother. He is a firefighter for the Kokomo, Indiana Fire Department.
Very nice.
Yeah, and I thought about trying to get him to come over,
yeah, for sure.
But that's the reason why we're doing the first responders. And not a lot of skydiving events has first responders slotted. It's usually always military, or when you go to like these galas or events and stuff, it's usually military, and that doesn't very often have first responders. So that's why we're going to include them. And, I'll know more this Thursday because Holly, the brand new host for the morning wood show that is on every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be visiting that Colorado Boulder, the Mile High skydiving. We'll be visiting them, and we're going to find out even more numbers, because Now, the two biggest questions that I get for skydiving is number one, how much do you have to weigh? Okay, because when you get out of the military, you tend to be a fat ass. I should know. I've been there. Okay, when we go to the grocery store, you always get like the big Doritos. The family pack. Family pack, my ass. The thing serves like maybe 3 people, and it says it serves 6 people. Yeah, if they're anorexic.
About portions, H. It's about portions.
I mean, yeah, that's what they tell me. So when we go there, we're gonna find out. But to answer some of the questions, like if you weigh a certain like under 200 or like over 235 pounds or something like that, it's doable. But what you have to do is you have to find the tandem jumper. Has to be somewhat skinny, But the only bad thing is if you get somebody that outweighs you like big time, I think that can like force some friction up in the air and stuff. So don't quote me on that. I'll find out more when me and Holly go and we talk to them Thursday. But I've been doing this event and I've broke off from it for a while because I was in competitive skiing. But I first started this event in like 2009, 2010 timeframe. And then we did it again right before I left for Sochi, because I wanted to use that platform, to help get some veterans some events and stuff. And then once we got done with that, it was like the COVID time, and like nobody was doing anything for COVID, so we kind of slacked off. And I'm like, hey, let's try bringing this thing back. There's a lot of veterans that have went through the skydiving program that I provided in the last 2 jumps, and some of them are doing really great things. Sometimes it takes just a little bit of a nudge, that right person. I was kind of in a black hole, I would say, last year and a half. I was kind of in a black hole. Not many people know it. I wasn't walking. I wasn't doing a lot of stuff. And then, my dad comes and, he kind of forces me to walk, walking like 6 miles and 4 days, and my right foot still won't talk to me. But sometimes it takes somebody. Sometimes it really just takes somebody to go to you, put their hand on your shoulder and say, hey, you know what? It's going to be okay. I'm right here. I'm right beside you, And I tell you what, one of the reasons why I'm out of that black hole is because Amber from In the Weeds, Tracer, MJ, and Red, like every time that I talk to them, they made me feel special. And, when I mean special, like they really hyped it up. Like I was like, this big old president. And I'm not. I'm just a regular person like everybody else. I consider myself a peon, Jim Butler, he's the one that created MBR. And I just kind of added the mission of what we were. At one time, it was just about bringing DJs on to having music, and
and we do. We have music.
Yeah,
I
found that it's more than just playing music. It's very rehabilitational, and when you don't do it for a couple of weeks, you start getting laggy. You start getting, I don't want to say lazy, but you just, you really got to push yourself sometimes. And then once you get in the routine, you get a lot better. And that's what the skydiving does. It's like going to church and getting baptized. You
Or
know,
getting the sermon that was meant for you.
right. Remember when you got baptized? Well, some people got baptized. Well, remember the feeling that you had afterwards. That's the feeling that you get when you go skydiving. Now, if you fail at skydiving, you get a different feeling, but that
Yeah.
doesn't happen very much, you know. You know, usually first time's a charm.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's all tandem jumps.
It is all tandem jumps. Oh yeah, you think we're gonna put a bunch of disabled vets in an airplane and say, "Okay, go"?
Well, I was
We
ready
would be
for
like
it.
the
Let's
X
go.
team, you know, or Deadpool. We'd be flying into telephone wires and shit.
Well, that's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
We want everybody to be safe for sure.
Yeah, this is all tandem.
Okay.
It's all tandem, and like I said, there's a lot of veterans that have went through the program, and you know, they just got a fire in them. You know, a good one I want to talk about is Travis Strong. Travis Strong, he's somewhat a part of MBR. You know, we're trying to get that gaming system thing up. I don't know if we're ever really going to get that gaming server the way that we want to, but when serious question, how can you fail at skydiving? You pull the wrong cord. That's how.
That's a fail.
Right?
Chute doesn't open. That's a fail.
Oh shit.
Reserve. Cut it away quick. Whoops. Well, when I did my first jump, I came down and I didn't flare the chute hard enough. And so when I came down, my legs were kind of like back of me instead of in front of me. And they were like, oh crap. And I'm thinking, oh crap, I'm going to break both my legs. But I finally pulled hard enough where I just skidded across the floor and came to a stop, or the ground and came to a stop. And I was like, phew. And the guy was like, so that was a little bit of a rough landing. I'm like, yeah, tell me. He goes, yeah, you sure you want to do it again? I'm like, yeah, let me go up. And he goes, well, it took you a while to come out of the plane. I'm like, yeah, because you make me climb out to the end of the strut of the wing and I'm hanging there doing 40 knots like this. And you're asking me if I'm ready to go. And I was ready when I was at the door, when my foot was flying back and forth 40 knots in the air above the earth. I'm like, yeah, I was already ready. It's like, all right, well, arch away from the plane. I'm arching away from the plane, and then it's all good after that. That was the scary part, was putting your foot out on the step when it was blowing 40 knots. You're like, oh my gosh. And when they throw open that door and the air comes rushing in and it goes whoosh, you're like, shoot, I'm going to get sucked out of this monster.
No, I won't lie. When I first did my jump, I remember, he was like, are you ready? I'm like, I'm kind of enjoying the view right here. Give me a few seconds. He's like, we gotta get going. We're on a timestamp. I guess once they set a certain air like dimension or whatever, you have to like jump. And I'm like, okay, if US, and like I thought he was yelling at me.
He
And
probably
I thought
was.
I thought he was yelling at me, and he was like, put your hands out like a bird. So what I do, I'm like this. And he's like, keep still. Finally I figured it out.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
But Travis Strong, he does this weightlifting thing with ATF. And he's just an amazing veteran. He's an amazing human being. I've known him for quite a long time, and he is one person that taught me a long time ago, be that friend that's not in the room with a friend. Okay. Because, it's going to happen. It's going to happen where people talk bad about other people and stuff like that, but be that friend to kind of curve it back. All right. He taught me that. He's a good man. I just want to give him a real, holler, and then Tony here, he's on MBR because he lives in Indiana. That's all I can say. I just have a soft heart for people in Indiana. They get past some stuff, as an Air
He's got
Force.
a great show, Inside the Hoosier Mind. You
Oh
need
yeah,
to
it
check it
is.
out. That
Yes,
sports show is
it's very
it's
good.
on point. Yeah, for
In
sure.
fact, there's a lot of new internet stations coming up, and I'm gonna be start pitching some of our shows. It's really weird. Last 2 weeks, Trace, we haven't had any appointments at all. And I think that one of the reasons why we haven't had any appointments is because like we're full. We really are. We really are.
Yeah.
For the people that let's say you get off at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and you want to do a podcast, you can do a podcast, but you might not have the time slot that you want. That's the only that bad thing about MBR. We only got so many slots and stuff. But I think that's the reason why. But that's okay because get ready for it. We have 50 shows. We have 5 DJs on the music show. We have 3 video gamers on the video server. They just never show up. And then we have 30 talk radio shows, and all these shows, most of them are veteran resources, veteran, just giving information out, spotlighting other nonprofits that, their focus is military families and not so much the checkbook. That's what we're trying to eliminate here at the station. There's so many nonprofits out there, but what nonprofit is really going to help you? What nonprofit is really going to follow up with you and support? So many times I have people coming up to me and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about this nonprofit, or what do you think about this nonprofit?" Because I've been in this game for a while, and I can tell you the same thing that I tell everybody. Whatever your mission is, maybe you like crocheting, maybe you like Bath and Body Works, maybe you like bicycling, maybe you like skiing, maybe you like broadcasting, maybe you like beekeeping. There are so many. And I would say that if you ever want to volunteer or if you ever want to donate to a nonprofit, don't just donate to a nonprofit. Like really get involved with that nonprofit. Not only donate, but like see how things work. Be an advocate. You don't have to be a part of a nonprofit or even be a veteran to be an advocate.
Right. True.
You don't have to. You don't have to do things you don't have to be a part of a nonprofit to do things for veterans. Okay. And
Right.
you're probably thinking to yourself at home, well, I do more for veterans, but I ain't got the time. I ain't got the money. Okay. Well, it doesn't cost anything every week to call them 5 minutes. Hey, I just want to let you know I was listening to your show. Do you realize if you called any one of these hosts, called them up and said, "Hey, you know what? I really like that show. I learned something." Do you realize that how much of a day you would give veterans? I know we have oh, thanks guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm on here to give information. I'm not here for a pep rally or anything, but I really
Well, you're gonna
appreciate
get
it.
one anyway.
But I appreciate it. But 8 minutes can really change somebody's life. It really can. I'm gonna tell a dark part of some stuff that that happened in the past that has kind of crafted me. And I know it's so weird, but on May 22nd, 2022, I took 10 Percocets to take my life. And the next day, because when I was taking my life, I thought, everything was done. My whole life was gone, because people believed in an accusation or, over my words. And I tried to commit suicide. And the next day I woke up, and it was really weird. The next day I woke up because the first feeling that I really got emotionally was I was kind of ashamed. Not really ashamed, but like embarrassed. Like, I attempted this and I can't even do this right, kind of thing. I was thinking that. It's okay to laugh. Amber laughed when I told her, oh, the first thing I thought was, damn, I wasted 10 pills. But
No, it's just you're supposed to go.
but
So you didn't.
but when I woke up, a lot of things just like came into my mind, came into my head. Things that I wasn't wanting to do, but God wanted me to do. Yeah. And that's what it started. And like I was just going this path. And I remember when we were looking for a studio, and I'm like, hey God, anytime you want to step in here and make this happen, I mean, be my guest, because I'm like, really, really, really hitting a wall. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna rent a U-Haul thing. And as soon as I rented the U-Haul thing, like within the next month, bam, I got a studio. So evidently, God did not want us in a U-Haul garage thing, because I was gonna make it happen. When we got the studio, I didn't know what was going to come out of it.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't really a whole lot of people coming. I had like a plywood board as a table. I didn't even really have a studio desk. And I thought to myself, I just don't know what to do. And, God kind of put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, why don't you like it? So, I was telling him, and he's like, well, then fix it. And that's what I want to tell everybody that's listening and watching this. If you don't hear anything that I say, hear this. If you don't like something about yourself, fix it.
Right.
If you feel that you're fat, fix it. If you feel that you don't have enough compassion, learn empathy and fix it. So many times it's so easy. It's so easy to say, you should do this, you should do that. But I tell you what, it's a lot different when you find out somebody has been through it and they can kind of walk you through it.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And, MBR is a 501c3, and we are a nonprofit. And if you want to support us, we're happy to take your money and apply it to, no, not take your money like that, but apply it to veterans programs and veteran services, and help veterans buying equipment, applying that money to do good things and put to good use. And one of which is the skydiving event that we want to put on. So, I just want to let you know that we too are in need of resources from time to time that help us help veterans. And that's really what this mission set is all about, is helping veterans.
Yeah,
and we really appreciate Joel for doing that and setting us up for success that way.
And I've told you before, Tracer, and you told me that I needed to confess and I need to tell people sometime. And just so everybody knows, MBR is not funded by any grants or by any organizations. MBR is funded by the DJs and hosts that are on the station. And the majority of the money that we get from MBR, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's my whole CRSC check. So the check that I get from DOD for being in combat, I use that whole check, because of all people in this world, I feel first responders, military, they're the ones that put their neck on the line. They're the ones that are deploying daily. Like, they should be the first one in the food line. Okay. And unfortunately, radio stations out there, you're not going to get that chance unless you know somebody or unless you can get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And I believe that every military person that had blood, sweat, tears on that battlefield, they should be the first in line to provide their First Amendment. Hey, if their First Amendment wants to be talking about veterans and advocating and resources and stuff, great. If you want to use your First Amendment and talk politics, great. That is your business. I had an intern a long time ago at Colorado Media School that she wanted to do, and she was a veteran. She wanted to do reviews on adult toys.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, okay, so hey, let me tell you, I've heard every podcast pitch you could hear about. I'm telling you, I've heard every one of them, and I let them do it. That doesn't work all the time. Sometimes they fail, but guess what? If you want to be successful in this life, you have to lose. You have to fail. You have to fall.
It's part
You
of the
have to.
process.
Yes, because God's not going to give you something that you're going to take for granted for. You know, you got to work for it. You know, when you pray to God and say, "Oh God, give me patience," He's not going to give you patience. He's going to put you in a situation where you learn patience.
Yes.
And I think that's what people need to understand.
Yeah.
God will work for you, but remember, you need to work for Him too.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean go to door and preach. That means reflect a Christian life in your walk. If you do it right, nobody will have to ask. Nobody will have to care. Why would they care if you're treating them like they want to be treated?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get in a sermon or anything there. I just want people out there to know it's really important that you find that one person, friend, whatever, and bam, it will light the fire on their butt, because that's what people need. They don't need yelling. They need motivation. They need inspiration.
And
they
support.
need somebody to fire you. Yeah.
Yeah, to light the fire under it, and get you started. Yeah, sometimes it just takes that little prompting to get you in the direction you need to go, because sometimes you didn't know you needed to go that direction until somebody mentioned, "Hey, and what about?" And you're like, "Yeah, what about it? Yeah, maybe I should." So I was noticing that you were sporting the Tracer Around podcast shirt that I got you, H Train. And so
Yes.
H let me know that he is happy to wear and support everybody's podcast. If they want to send him a shirt to wear, he's happy to wear it. Thank you for
I was just trying to model it,
Thank you for modeling that. That's great.
Yeah. I was just trying to model it. No,
I
I
love
love this shirt. And I wish more DJs would, give me stuff. Got
And
a
his
shirt.
birthday's coming up. So if you want to surprise him for his birthday, it's in a couple of weeks. So it's coming right on up.
You know what? Do you know there's a saying that if nobody says happy birthday to you, you can totally mulligan that year and just stay the same age later on.
Well, I stay the same age no matter what, because I always forget how old I am. And that way I can't tell anybody when they say, "Oh, how old are you?" I don't know. I don't remember.
Kent says, "Send me shirts, I'll wear them, or even better, send me a cap." Red, I tell you what, man, November 9th, you'll be getting a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Including
we've got
my
that
money.
Cruise, right. We've got that cruise coming up. Anybody that wants to join the MBR team and go on that cruise with us, it's
Yes.
the Veterans Cruise in November. It's a 6 days, and it's
Uh-huh.
going out of Cape Canaveral. Check it out on the MBR website. We've got it there, or hook up with Red and his wife Fonda, and they'll get you set up for the cruise, because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's
Right.
going to be a lot of fun.
And if you we were looking at the drink packages, and holy crap! I don't know. I think on the cruise, I think on the cruise I might go drive for a week. I don't know. It's just really
Pretty
expensive.
expensive. Yeah.
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 But then again, I mean, you can't get a beer for less than $18 here in Colorado.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it costs a lot to be here. I mean, look, when you have a sign on Walmart in Breckenridge that says, "Hey, we pay $21 an hour for new hires," you know you're in the wrong town.
Right. Red says it's really going to be good.
Oh yeah, the drink package is just expensive, man.
He said
It's
not
just
really that bad.
expensive. Not really. Okay, I'll use your employee discount if you don't mind for that.
Right.
Okay. What else? Oh, we're almost out of time. I'm sorry,
We are.
Tracy.
We are almost out of time.
Did you want to ask me something more?
How did it feel to do downhill skiing competitively? What was that like?
Well, you know how like if you roller skate when you're young and you like crash and burn or do a yard
Yes.
sale, and you know maybe 13 or 14 people see you. Just think, okay, look, if it's okay, you don't have to win, you don't have to lose. If you wreck, it's okay. But if you wreck, you're gonna wreck in front of 5 million people. That was a pep talk from my coach.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
No pressure at all. Just don't
Yeah.
wreck. No
Yeah.
pressure.
Don't cross streams.
Jeez. Oh man. I can't imagine. What was it like the very first time you went downhill and competitively, like you were trying to race for the first time or you're doing your first run? What was
You
that
know,
like?
I'll tell you. So on my third day, I was carving,
Mhm.
and when I finally like clicked, you know when something just clicks.
When you found your groove.
When I finally clicked, I was going so fast, and then of course I wrecked, and I got so mad, and I was like punching the ground because like at this point when I'm in like normal temperature, I'm having blackouts and dizzy spells, and I can't really stand on my own. So I had to have either a chair or I had to have a wheelchair, or I would black out and stuff with my traumatic
Right.
brain injury. And one of the things that I had a hard time with was with feeling my feeling my legs to be able to walk. It's different. It's different walking with one leg compared to walking with two legs. You're very off balance.
Yeah.
And, I kind of had to feel for my ankles on my right side and, put a little bit more effort onto my right side to account for that. And that took some time. And I don't know why with a TBI, but like, a cup can be here and you're like grabbing it and you're not grabbing it. Your hands all the way over here because you can't defy space.
Right.
Okay. So that's one of the things that I had a hard time with, especially when I was racing, go for the middle flag. And then after that, I got so upset because, this was the hardest thing since I learned to walk, and kind of getting back in the routine of walking and stuff. It takes some time, and that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
And I'm doing something brand new, and it's really hard for me. And everything that you do new, just like going from an iPhone to Android or Android over to iPhone, anything that you do new, it's going to be hard for you.
Right.
But just remember, somebody else has already accomplished it. So there is a way for you to accomplish it follow the trail.
So you were telling me before what the coach said to you when you were thinking about doing it and how it motivated you to do it because he had mentioned that he didn't think you could do it. Can you tell me or can you tell our audience about what he said and how that motivated you to just show him what really was possible if you try?
See, I was one of those cats where they're like, okay, he's good when he's good on skis, but when he's bad on skis, like he's terrible. That's the only thing that, like, they didn't think that I would make it to the Paralympics. They're like, no, there's no way. But when they changed me from and they just didn't understand that I was brand new to skiing. I didn't know the shit difference.
Right.
There's a difference between a rec boot and there's a difference between a race boot. One's tighter, so you have more compression, more guidance on your leg compared to another.
Right.
And when I got these race boots, it's funny. My service dog's name is Barrett. My coach's name is Barrett too. And I didn't name it after my coach. I had my coach first, so I didn't name it. My service dog came from Freedom Service Dogs.
Nice.
Amazing people. But Barrett was my coach. Now, the kid that taught me how to ski, after he taught me how to ski, I had skied over like 180, 190 days. And then when I got to have a lesson with him, he was very, he had an ego. He had an ego. And, he told me, and he was still giving me an excuse. He didn't just flat out say, hey, you know what? I'm eating crow, man. You proved me wrong. How hard is that to say? No, this guy is still giving me, excuses, but he told me that, I was doing really good, and that's the point where I'm like, okay, either he's blowing smoke up my ass or he really thinks that I can make it. So I said, well, do you think with the right talent or the right education, the right training that I could be a racer just like you? And he looked at me and he's like, probably not. You're too old. That pissed me off.
It would have me too.
Because I thought I was doing pretty damn good,
Right?
And he just like tore me up. When somebody talks good about stuff, don't sit there and tear them down or piss in their Cheerios. They have life to do that. You're a friend. Let them live a little.
Right.
But when he told me that, it really pissed me off. And honestly, I didn't want to go to the Paralympics until then. Honestly.
That's just what God knew you needed to hear him say you weren't good enough. And then you're like, oh, no, let me show you. I got this.
Yeah, because see.
Hold this. I got it.
Right. Because see, he saw me when I like first started.
Right.
And all I was looking for was good job.
Right. A little validation.
I don't know why people don't say that stuff anymore. Instead of saying, hey, what's up? Say, wow, you look hot today. Woo! Don't do that because I got in trouble for that one time. But, you can say something, like, wow, that's an incredible smile. Right. You look like sunshine or something like that. We don't do that enough. That's what I was looking for. When the older you get, the less gratitude you're going to get.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it doesn't take much to give a compliment.
No.
And I mean, they have to be sincere, though. The compliments have to be sincere. So if you want to give somebody a compliment, make sure that you mean that and not just, saying something to say something. But
yeah,
like you were saying, if you see somebody in the store and they've got a nice outfit, looks good on them, say, that outfit looks great on you. Or you're looking happy today, you're full of sunshine, whatever you want to say. But it does make somebody's day. It really, really does. If you just give them that little piece of encouragement.
I go to, so, we have Jersey Mike's. are we running out of time? I'm sorry.
We kind of are, but I think it's going to be okay. There's nobody after us. We
Okay.
can bend the rules slightly.
Okay. So when I go to Jersey Mike's every week to pick up like the lunch or dinner through the whole, through the whole week. Mondays, since we're kind of lacking that show placement in the studio on Mondays, I don't go to Jersey Mike's. But when I go to Jersey Mike's, I go every Monday no matter what. When I go over to Jersey Mike's on Mondays, I always order this, and there's this kid that is always there. He's always smiling. He looks at me, he's like, the usual, right? Yep. Even if I wanted something else, I don't fucking say anything because he remembered me.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I like that. I like it when somebody involves me and grabs me from like the audience and say, hey, they don't even have to say my name. All they have to do is just point, If you're ever an artist, don't matter if you know them or not, just point to them. Hey, I saw you on TikTok or saw you on Facebook, just say something. It really helps. It really drives people's day up. It really does.
I agree. And it doesn't cost anything to be nice. It really doesn't. It'll make your day too, because you'll see the smile on their face. And then so whatever you've given them just amplifies to you. Well, is there anything else you want to put out before we have to go? Because we are over our time.
I will tell everybody that MBR, we're starting this whole bonus buck thing. Kind of like, how you get a monthly pay. Well, here you get like a monthly points, and that point stuff, goes towards merchandise and things that, veterans need, like the microphone, the mixers and stuff like that. It's just been delayed. One of the reasons why it's been delayed is because we're still trying to work the system. It's there's a lot of times I put the goat before the horse, or the
cart before the horse.
Yeah, the cart before. I do that a lot, and I'm learning. So bear with us. It will happen. It takes time sometimes, But I mean, I got a really good Oval Office staff that I have been able to increase doing time and stuff on MBR, and that's the reason why we're trying to start this animation channel. And right now I think we're one of the first internet radio stations with a talk channel, audio channel, gamer channel, and an animation channel, and we're just looking for veterans that want to learn and they want to do that for other veterans. I would love to have a bunch of veteran navigating cartoons, hint, and then we play
hint,
that.
Joe Muse, Mr. Animator. Hint. I love your music, but I love your art as well. So hint, Joe Muse, if you're out there listening.
There we go.
Calling you out, brother.
Tracer, thank you for having me on, and I hope that the people that did listen, they could listen to the message, especially everybody that's watching that's a hater or that doesn't like me, because I'm sure everybody feels that way, and I'm sure everybody, they know that they got at least one, try not to go by the person, but go by the mission. Are we accomplishing a lot of shit? Yes, we're accomplishing a lot of crap. Yeah. People's energy, sometimes people don't vibe. It happens sometimes like that. But I strongly encourage those that watch this that really target on the mission, and they don't target to any individuals on the station or group, because like Travis Parrington says, it's one big old sandbox. We all can play in the sandbox.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on, Joel. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on Beyond My Show and talk a little bit. Maybe next time you'll come on and we'll talk more about you as a person. I love talking about MBR because MBR is important to me and it's important to all of our hosts. And we appreciate what you do in the background that no one really sees or knows about. We really do appreciate that every night. I know how hard you work during the day, during the evening, on weekends. You're always working and we appreciate it. And I just want to thank you for what you do. And I just want to acknowledge you for being there for us.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I love you guys. I really do.
Well, we love you too. Well, this is Tracer Round signing off.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.